Hello everyone, welcome back to Virgo Sewing, and finally we have our completed Singer 206K treadle sewing machine. It's taken, I didn't count, but at least 12 hours in total to get this up and running properly. A couple of parts I replaced. The presser foot was just in too rough condition, so I got another nice Singer zigzag foot that fits the zigzag hole in the needle plate very well. We replaced the spring in the presser foot spring because it was not long enough for whatever reason, and I wasn't getting enough pressure on the fabric. Of course, we have a new treadle belt. We have a new bobbin winder tire and a new felt spool pad. So I would like to take this machine for a test run, and we will see what it can do. So I've got a size 16 needle in here, and we're going to sew some denim. So I'm bringing it over to this first thread guide. With our presser foot lifted, we have our discs released. Between the tension discs, around the spring, so that our spring catches it, down below this thread guide, through the eye in the take-up lever, between or inside the two thread guides on the faceplate, through this last thread guide on top of the needle, and last but not least, through the eye of the needle. And we're going to start with a straight stitch at our longest stitch length. Usually with heavier fabrics you do a longer stitch length. So we've got our fabric under the presser foot here, and I was just doing more layers of testing, so we're going to start with fewer layers, or sorry, less tension. And I'm going to start the treadle by turning the hand wheel towards me to get the direction, and off we go. Quick tension check. Tension could be a touch higher. Stitch is looking good. And while we're at 2 layers here, let's just shorten our stitch length a little bit and see, or show rather, how fast you can go on this treadle. And there I'm only using 1 foot because I like to treadle with 1 foot, but those of you who like to use 2 feet, I'm sure you could get a lot more speed and power using 2 feet on that treadle. And now let's bring it to zigzag. So we have our wide zigzag there, widest zigzag, and let's give it a go. I find that a lot of machines like a slightly different tension when zigzagging. Usually they like a little bit more tension when they're zigzagging, which this machine does. Lengthen our stitch. And I love this machine because it makes really nice and accurate zigzags, which we'll see in just a moment. And for fun, let's do a really short zigzag stitch. Really useful if you're patching up holes or joining 2 pieces of fabric together on this machine. And that makes a really, really beautiful zigzag stitch. Oh, and one last thing I'll show you is, let's go back to straight stitch. So this lever here controls your needle position. So here we're at straight all the way down, and when you bring this all the way up, it brings you to the left side. And this is really useful if you're doing sort of a double, if you want to follow a line of stitching very carefully to make a double stitching seam. You can follow your one stitch. Actually, I'll demonstrate that for you. You can follow your original seam by lining up this in the middle of your presser foot, as I have it here, and by switching your needle over, you're stitching on the left side, so you can get it really, really nice and even. So here's our straight stitch, and here's our zigzag stitch. Both looking really, really nice and even. Here are our double line straight stitch following each other. And I have to wind up another bobbin, so I'm going to do that. And we'll be right back and we'll test more layers of denim. I changed my thread colors so we can see the difference between 2 and 4 layers. I've got my red thread on the top and my tan thread on the bottom. So we're just going to do 4 layers. Still pretty nice and easy, relatively speaking. And let's start with our straight stitch, full stitch length. Tighten up our tension just a hair. And let's see how that goes. Gorgeous, gorgeous stitching on this one. Our tension's looking good. And those stitches are, wow, really, really, really nice. And let's go and switch to our zigzag. And beautiful zigzagging as well. Let's see how our 4 layers of denim turned out. So we've got our red thread on the top. Let me just get you a good view. Those are our straight stitches, and we have our zigzag stitches here, which are looking really nice, and our tan thread is on the bottom, looking really nice too. So let's try and see whether or not this machine will accept 8 layers of denim. I think it will. So let's fold her in half. 8 layers now. And what I like about this machine too is, see, it just doesn't want to go, but you've got that extra little presser foot lift if you have really heavy fabrics that you want to put down, and it's also useful for pulling out fabrics. So let's start in a clean spot. Here we have 8 layers, and we'll tighten our tension. Start with our straight stitch, high length, and let's get going. I'm going really slow because you don't want to go too quick when you're dealing with heavy fabrics. And that is just beautiful. Very, very nice looking stitches right there. Gorgeous. Bring it over here, and finally let's try some zigzag stitches on here. Oh, a bit of our bottom thread is showing up on here, so that means that we have to loosen our tension. Top tension's too much. And let's try a longer zigzag, just for fun. And that longer zigzag is looking really nice as well. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't show you how this machine back tacks. In a lot of vintage sewing machines, you don't have a back tack function for starting and finishing seams, but this machine does have that, which is really, really convenient. So we're going straight, and we have our back tack. Oh, looks like we bent our needle. We were going a little bit too getting a little bit too vigorous, but nonetheless, here are the straight stitches on 8 layers of denim. That red there. Let's see. And this straight tan line here is our bottom stitch. Let's see. Here's our zigzagging with the right tension on 8 layers of denim. You can see that tan on the underside there too. And I really love this machine. It is a wonderful, wonderful early zigzag machine. The swing needles were, they call these the swing needles because the mechanisms kind of swing the needlebar back and forth. And it was Singer's first domestic line of zigzag machines, which I think is really cool. This was followed up by the 306, which is a similar machine that takes cams, so you can do all sorts of different decorative stitches, and that was followed, I think, by the 319, which has the piano keys for different stitches, and you can combine the different stitch types. A lot of people don't like that machine for whatever reason. Maybe it doesn't look nice enough, but they're all really, really interesting machines. And this machine is sort of, I mean, it's a domestic machine, of course. A lot of people like to pass off their vintage machines as industrial, just so that people will think that they're getting something more than they actually are. But I can say with some certainty that this machine is the closest domestic machine to industrial quality or power that you might find. In no sense of the word is it actually an industrial, but it has sort of industrial features, like its rotary hook. The types of bobbin that it takes are also very common for industrial machines. What else? It has these, not all Singer 206s have this. Some of them are a lot more beautiful with the bed outlined with nice gold decals. But this one, it seems, is even more industrial looking because it has these oil decals all over the bed and on the arm of the machine, which tell you where to oil it, which I think is really neat. So this machine will be up for sale, and it comes with a lot of nice accessories. It comes with some hemming feet, comes with a straight stitch foot, comes with 4 extra bobbins, and what I really like is that it comes with a straight stitching plate. And you can see we've got our straight stitch hole here, and why this is good is because if you're doing really light fabrics and you're straight stitching them, maybe like some lightweight silk, if you have your zigzag needle plate in, it's possible that your fabric will sort of get sucked into the zigzag hole. It's a common problem, but with a straight stitch hole you don't really run into that, and I find that it makes, with the straight stitch foot and a straight stitch needle plate, you get the most accurate straight stitch possible. And a lot of sewing machines have this, like the Kenmore 158 series. A lot of them have this little slot, rectangular, and you can flip it around back and forth, which gives you straight stitch or zigzag needle hole. And I use that a lot on my Kenmore, and it makes a really nice straight stitch when put together with the straight stitch foot. And that's all I have on this machine here for you today. So thank you very much for watching.